Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Esteemed FaceTime with Leaders, an initiative by World Development Corporation. I'm Sunny Pancholi, anchor at World Development Corporation. FaceTime with Leaders is a platform for industry titans to share their experiences, thoughts, ideas, and best practices in order to inspire one another and future leaders. In a nutshell, we attempt to encapsulate the multi-decadal learnings acquired by these industry leaders. We also hope that by conducting these FaceTime with Leaders interviews, we can bring together a global community of eminent personalities. And by bringing together such visionaries on one platform, we hope to play a part in inspiring the lives of other leaders. Great learnings from great leaders undoubtedly assist everyone by identifying, nurturing, and using the trade secrets that are proven success formulas for many. And this is what we aim for with these sessions by making them a gathering of industry stalwarts and a knowledge sharing community. We have one such corporate stalwart on FaceTime with Leaders with us today, Ms. Amita Malviya. She has an enriching 24 years journey with expertise in technology consulting and business development cutting across various sectors in India and abroad. Further, her rich techno-commercial experience across India, Dubai, Japan, Canada, and Australia reflects her entrepreneurial drive, versatile management skills, and high ethical standards. After 20 years in the corporate sector, she is now working as an independent consultant where she is providing her technological and business operations expertise to banks, non-profit organizations, and operational teams in developing and implementing strategies for inclusive growth and sustainability. Her passion is to use technology and business acumen at the grassroots levels to bring about a systematic change. Welcome to FaceTime with Leaders, Ms. Malviya.
Thank you, Sunny. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. Thanks a lot.
So, to begin with, can you give a brief overview of your career journey so far with important achievements?
Sure, why not? So I've had quite a fascinating journey, and as you mentioned, some of the points, like I could early on in my career, I could get an international exposure. I got exposed to a lot of technology implementation, which was happening in India and abroad as well. So I would like to make a comment, and it's like, I think I was lucky to be at the right place at the right time. And when I look back, it had been a great learning experience, and I continue to be on this path with CG and ESG now. So yeah, it's been a very fascinating. Just to take you through some of the landmarks which had been, there had been a lot of historical moments in our history, as an Indian and as well as globally. And I would just cite out few, and I think the audience would be able to relate to that as well. So I started my career back in 99 as a software engineer, and you would recall during those times we were all facing Y2K, and for a lot of us, a lot of people like me, we got exposed to a lot of code which probably would have taken 3-4 years to reach and grow up that ladder to be able to pick, fix bugs and be able to see the design of a lot of complicated code which was solving big problems for US and a lot of European companies. And as we made changes and as we were doing a lot of coding, I think when the clock hit 01010 2000, I think everybody was sitting on the fence, and we almost felt like gods, like, the destiny was in our hands. So I would say there were a lot of such, instances in the way I was working, and I was lucky to have that kind of a head start. Later on, when I was in Japan, the internet boom was at its peak. I was there from 2001 to 2004, and the broadband has just launched. And as you would recall, how it is during the beginning years, right? So there were a lot of small entrepreneurs who wanted a space on the internet, and they were looking for a ready-made solution. And I was a tech consultant with a company which was selling domain names, and we were providing hosting services. We were, in fact, the first one to do commission model online. So imagine spa services provider on an internet back in the days of 2002. Okay, and he wants to pass on some commission to the travel agent who's coming to his website. We could do that, and it felt like a great achievement back in those days. We were able to automate a lot of things, bring about solutions, and just being there in Japan, being able to witness I mode and a lot of geotagging, those kind of technologies which were unheard of back in India. And I was still very young, fresh, and ready to learn. And this path, I think, continued for me. And even when I came back and we decided to, launch a small business of our own, trying the entrepreneurship for a few years, and then I thought that okay, let me get into business development. The year was 2009, and as you would recall, the entire world was facing global recession, and I was given a mandate to start a new line of business and establish it, make it profitable. So it was a big task, but again, as I was learning the ropes of sales, it was again a new domain for me. I was lucky to be working with some of the people who had been leading it, not just in India, but also had a lot of global exposure. And we decided to focus, along with conferring our solutions and products for Indian market, we decided to focus on the problems our clients were facing back then, and it changed the whole game. It took us some time to reach that level. I would say a lot of hard work for initial 8 months before we could see that first sale coming through. But once we saw it, we could launch the business, not just taking it from Delhi to South India, but also moving across and taking it to Middle East, using Dubai as our launch pad. So it was like it was like something unheard of, and back in those days, for somebody like me to be getting that kind of an exposure. So I would say again, I was lucky to be at that juncture and be able to utilize my skill set. And I think one instance, which one historical event, I would say, which non-Indian can no Indian can forget, is demonetization. And I'm sure you would have seen the long queues outside the ATMs back in those days, right? So in 2016, I was actually working as a solution sales expert with an ATM provider. So I got to see the problem which Demon, like presented to the entire world. And for us, it got even more complicated because we had just launched a software solution for a very big bank in India, and it was in the first stage of being taken across India. And a customer was still very jittery in the sense that they were thinking that, oh, have we overpaid, or is the solution really worth it? And we had devised a very structured phase by phase plan. And as demon happened, I mean, they could see the value in it. They could see that how easily we could predict the usage of each of the denomination, which you can select on the ATM, right? You can select 100 rupee. Back in those days, it was a big deal, right? 2000 was suddenly nowhere in the picture. And not just that, it was a customer delight. Obviously, the people standing in the queue, it was a big solution uh, at that time for them, because it eases a lot of things for them, right? But even for the people who were managing the cash, you could easily predict what would be your cash uptake, in the coming week, in the coming month. And they were super happy. By the end of our first phase launch, I think they were already thinking, and they were saying, okay, what we can do next in phase two. And it used to be a very unique feature. Now it's like any solution you find in the ATM now. Everybody, it's like a hygiene feature. So I mean, you got to be the first one, and I think I take great pride in that moment as well, that I got to be the part of it. And now when COVID hit, I mean, I've been given an opportunity to be a tech expert with again a financial company, which was somewhere in the middle. They had their CSR division, but they were still contemplating of automating a lot of parts, and they were looking for expertise in that area. And due to that, I got exposed to a lot of ecological restoration projects, a lot of social development projects, and I got to see up close the issues which COVID, created for normal, uh, day-to-day work, how it was happening, it got restricted, and suddenly there were a lot of people like laborers and a lot of small vendors who were struggling. And that time we got an opportunity to convert this entire thing, flip to the other side, right? So as I would say that it was kind of a silver lining again, that we could make use of additional CSR funds, or even the public donations which we were getting for some of the non-profits, to jumpstart, and in certain cases to upscale their technology drive. Like, and I would say when it comes to non-profit, it's not about AI and ML and all those big things. Sometimes even a tweak in the Excel sheet does the trick. So because you are capturing data from the grounds up, and it really helps. I think technology can bring that scale, and using it as an enabler had been my passion, and I got to do that. So it's been a very like very multi-dimensional journey. But having said that, a very satisfying one. Yeah, thank you for giving me the opportunity to share it with other participants of the course, and as well as the audience.
Absolutely. In fact, it's an amazing journey so far you've had. And thank you for the excellent start to this interview. And it's an honor to interact with someone who exudes such a strong corporate personality. Okay, so let's continue our conversation. And our viewers would like to know, as a technology consultant and business development professional, what do you regard as your biggest accomplishment so far?
Yeah, as I already told you, right, it's been a long journey in certain sense. So it's difficult to pick, but I will pick one. But maybe I can, if you allow me, I would like to pick two actually, and I hope that's okay. So
It is.
I would just pick one which is from my very early days as a software engineer and a tech consultant in Japan. So I believe that when you're learning a skill, like right now I'm learning a new skill, you really can't foresee as to how you'll be using it in future, and sometimes you struggle to find a path. But as uh, some very famous people have said that you can always connect the dots looking back, right? So the same thing happened with me. I was this novice consultant in Japan, and I was learning Japanese in going to a evening school and trying to pick another language. Um, and I was not sure whether all this hard work I'm doing is going to result into something, because at my work I'm still a techie, and my job is still to design and code. So 6 7 months down the line, we had this product launch. A product for which I was coding was then taken to the users. So I was part of this big group in Japan, and they had this tech company which used to get products from across the globe, uh, configure it for Japan, and configure it for their own in-house use, and then launch it across in all the group companies. So I was part of that as a tech consultant. So my job was to um, design new products and then implement, configure it. So that kind of a thing, pure software coding. So, and my group leader was presenting the statistics that, okay, it's been 1 month, but the adoption had been really low. And, uh, and I could pick some because I could, guess few Japanese words now. And I said, okay, sir, let me volunteer to be on the trainers team. So they had this huge team of very professionally trained trainers who would actually go to each group companies. They would do a 3 4 days session with the audience there, and they would present the entire use case or the entire reason why we are introducing a new product and how to use it, and features and everything. So and initially he was surprised that he knew my Japanese skills. So initially he was surprised, but he allowed. He said, okay, this is like a young blood, so let her do what she wants to do. So he said, okay, how do you want to do it? I said, okay, if they are doing it for a couple of days, maybe in one of the sessions they can take me, and I would like to present few slides. And he said, okay, but those slides would be in English. I said, I'll try to make it as easy as possible. So please allow me. And they went ahead with the plan. And I was also very, like it was that excitement when you get goosebumps. like you don't know whether you have overcommitted. So the same thing happened to me. And I reached the first meeting was there on in the next week, and I was there. I think it was the third day of their presentation, the trainer's presentation, and I presented each of the use cases which I thought were relevant to that business group. And since it was a passion for me, right? I designed it, I implemented it, I coded for it, I sat, I don't know how many nights, and prepared the entire design and everything. So I was very passionate about it. So I told them how they could, reduce the time they take to do a certain job, and how when they do it, how the management or the dashboard could look like, so I could share them a lot of as we say in software, I could give them a use case. I made it very pictographic, very easy to understand. But I'll tell you, I'll openly admit my Japanese was not that good. And in Japan you have this level of Japanese, formal Japanese is at a very different level. So in the first session, the trainers helped me, and they were very, they were very forthcoming in the way they were offering the translation wherever I was struggling. And it was like we were going back and forth at certain slides, but I think by the end of it, they could understand that, okay, what is it that this girl is trying to do? And they were very happy to support me going forward. So in the next meeting, when we had in the next week, I think we were all, better prepared, and I could do a much better job this time. They did the homework with me. They sat with me, shared exactly what this business group was looking at, what is the kind of work they do day to day, and we made the slides this time in Japanese, with their help, of course. So I mean, and 1 month down the line, after 4 or 5 presentations, we could see the adoption level increase, and that would I would count it as one of my very early successes. And I would, looking back, I would say that when you can combine the skill set you have got, every human being is unique, and when you could combine with all your skill set and present a value proposition, I think generally it works, and it can bring wonders. Like you going forward, you will not be able to see it, but I think when you look back, you'll be able to see the value of it. And of late, in my last assignment as a business head, where I was taking care of sales and operations, I had come from a technology background, and it was a workplace consultancy. So probably for them, the ideal fit would have been a leader from, real estate or buildings and materials, or somebody who has done a lot of furniture selling and things like that. But on the contrary, I was a technology expert. But look at that. The irony is all the clients, almost 80% were technology clients. And the people who were actually using our solutions were the technology divisions, be it pharma, be it any other industry we were catering to. The people who were picking our solutions were mainly from the technology group. So when I went there and presented, I told them my struggle as an agile developer, as a scrum master. What were the tools I was looking at? What were the resources I was searching? And how easy it is to use these tools now? And how am I using it in my day to day when I'm making an account plan for you? And they could really visualize the usage, and they could see how human centric products we were proposing back then. So I mean, I would, like try to sum it up here, like saying that, it would be generally you have to go back and understand what are your core strengths, what is the core strength of your entire team you are going ahead with. And generally, when you bank on those core strengths, I think that's where you can bring in value, and a lot of value. And especially these days, all the business leaders are solving very complex problems. I mean, it's a VUCA world, right? Every day we are seeing new kind of change happening. Even with the ESG and CG, there are a lot of compliance and disclosure related requirements, a lot of information, a lot of frameworks to be adhered to. And people struggle to see through this information, try to make out how should they do materiality, what is it that they should publish, how their stakeholders will take it. I mean, it's a very complex set of situation, and I think with the combination of the skill set you've got, I think you can find the problem. And that had been my journey, and I I want to continue to do that with the new skill sets I'm acquiring.
Amazing. So, building on to that, could you please let our future leaders know what values do you live by, or what principles do you follow that have proven useful in your career journey the most?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to borrow this quote from Albert Einstein, and I don't want to, I want to do full justice to the quote, so let me read it. Problems cannot be solved at the same level of awareness that created them. And I actually live by it at my personal level, professional capacity, in the society I live in. I have been extremely conscious of the way I function. Um, I would say my early exposure to Japan and Middle East has given me this insight into a lot of ESG related issues very early in my career. And when I'm selecting a partner, or when I'm applying for a job, even, or when people around me are going ahead with their career or trying to choose a company they want to work for, I mean, my only advice to them is, be highly aware of where you are going. And I think it's the need of the hour. ESG has now come to the forefront because of that. And if you look at each of these aspects, I think I would drill it down even further and say you should look at each one of these. Like when you're looking at E, for instance, how is the company you are going to partner with? How is it that how is this company managing the carbon footprint? How are they taking care of their water and soil pollution? Are they imbibing a culture where you can go ahead and print or take a plastic bottle around when like when there is a possibility of installing something which would be more sustainable in the long run, better for the environment? So it's the entire culture you have to look at from all different parameters. When you talk about social, let's say, what are their practices when it comes to equality at work? What is their DEI? What is their policies when it comes to their partners? Are they measuring how they are doing, sourcing? Are they measuring it for their partners down the line, in their value chain? How much of it is actually resulting, in actual impact when they're measuring it. You know, so a lot of people are driving a lot of initiative these days, and I'm extremely encouraged when I see these case studies. And I mean, I've been fortunate to work for one of the best companies, which have been awarded best companies to work for. And the things which I look at is how transparent are they? What is the communication like between their management and the board members? What is the attrition level at that level? Because generally these are the signs which tells you that there is something happening. Like there is a corporate governance uh, failure, maybe, or maybe there is something in the making which might result in a larger impact later date. So, I mean, you have to be more aware, because only when you are aware you'll be able to measure it. And once you start measuring it, you will be the part of the solution. Now, as an ESG learner and an enthusiast, and the CG learner, I would say I look at all these parameters. And I think when you look at case studies like Daimler, you look at case studies like Siemens or SAP or Autodesk, they had been the leaders when it comes to sustainability. They had been the leaders when it comes to corporate governance. Now, I should not be taking any names, because any big names you take, next day you see something in in the newspaper, and you're like, oh my God, I always thought they are the leaders. So I mean, it's a double-edged sword, but still, I think if you're searching for good, you'll be able to find a lot of case studies and a lot of examples of what they did, which was right, and which resulted in a sustainable value, not just for their clients, but also for the people who are working with them, the employees, the stakeholders at large, the communities they were involved in, and ultimately even the environmental impact they had been making. So I would just say, be aware, and always know the why and how of the organizations you're going to work with. It is extremely important, not just at personal level, but at professional level as well. Go look for the mission values, integrity, information, any information you can find, and there is a lot of information now available openly. I think I live by it, and I think the more aware you are, the more alive you are. So, I mean, that's been my principle.
Absolutely, absolutely, Miss Malviya. Okay, so since we're talking about ESG and corporate governance, here is my next for you.
Yeah.
Do you believe that there could be better ESG or corporate governance integration in the fields you have worked before?
Of course, a lot has been done, but I think there is still a lot which can be done. And if I talk about banking, retail, or even technology, I think just the awareness, management, or implementation of strategy at ESG level is not enough because your stakeholders are looking for more and they are much more aware. And I think the non-financial reporting, the accountability, the transparency which you have to bring in, even though it's been forced by regulators, I think you owe it to your clients as well as the investors are looking at you and the general public is looking at you. There is so much of information sharing on social platforms that it's very difficult to hide things now. And I think you can use this as an opportunity, and you can use this as a be a leader in whatever you are doing. So like what HDFC did, for instance, they made a public statement that they'll be carbon neutral by 31, 32, right? And you see their share price, touching the roof. The customer trust in them has been immensely increased, and they've been showcasing it in their annual reports. They're showing that commitment over the years. So it's not just one declaration and you're done. You have to live by that. So I mean, it's been a and you could be the leader, and you could change the entire dynamics of the entire sector with you. And there is huge opportunity which I see in India and abroad. There are a lot of frameworks available. There are a lot of like back in India, we have something. In Europe, we have something. Like there are a lot of disclosure related frameworks which are available, which make it very easy for you to display and openly share your climate related profile and also the opportunities you are working on because of that. And I think if we could uh, um, like imbibe these best practices from across the globe, not just in India, from our sector, from the sectors where we are working in, from India and abroad. I think there is a potential to create huge value. And that's where I see that even COVID played a very big role here. So when I look at my daughter, for instance, she's a Generation Z, right? And when they choose a product, she was choosing few, like dress to wear, her night dresses, basically. And she was telling me, Mama, it has to be sustainable, right? I can't pick a brand just like that. I said, how would you do that? And she said, okay, I'll just read about them. And when I'm satisfied, then only I'm going to go and buy. So they are much more conscious, much more aware. And that puts the, like you can take it as a burden, but I think it's a huge opportunity. Now, when a retailer or a wholesaler um, think about it, they have to think about the employee satisfaction for the workforce, which is offering solutions to their clients, interacting with their consumers on a daily basis. They have to look at equality. They have to look where they're sourcing from, how ethical is their sourcing, what is the business policies of their suppliers. So it's the entire value chain they have to look at. They have to look at the communication which they are making to the larger set of stakeholders. They have to look at their environmental impact, and I see it as a huge opportunity. And I think we have just started, and I think that we have a long way to go.
Absolutely. Before we conclude our discussion on ESG and corporate governance, I would like to ask you, as an ESG and corporate governance expert, what values do you bring to the table?
Um, thank you for calling me expert. I must thank you for that. But yeah, I'm an aspirant and I'm a learner. It's been I think 4 years when I am trying to pick it more formally in terms of getting the certification and everything. but I think my exposure early on in life to a lot of sustainable practices and a lot of environmental projects, I would say, has given me, given me a firm belief that if we have to survive as a species, I mean human beings, Earth is anyway going to survive. But if we have to survive, I think we have to start taking ESG very seriously and look at it as an opportunity. And I think gone are the days, and I'm very thankful that it has happened even in India. Now the corporate India promoter or a board is not looking at their own set of relatives or friends as a board member. They're searching for talent who has actually done that on the ground, giving them advice, not just in terms of fighting the battles which they fight on a daily basis, but also prepare much ahead, much in advance, and also sort of give them the tool set to be able to sustain the competition which we are facing right now. So I think it's a very complex world in which we are working, and it is requires us to employ a lot of different skill sets when you are trying to find a solution, and that's where I see myself. From my national and international exposure, be it on the technology side, or as a team leader, or as a mentor, or even like managing different set of stakeholders, or just from past few years being a enabler of a lot of sustainable projects. I think where I see I can add value is bring all this onto the table and be part of the drive, be it related to E, S, or G for an organization. Because I see ESG as a superset of CG, corporate governance. So we not only need to be completely transparent and accountable for all from our financial and non-financial reporting, but also, when you look at ESG, when we are driving any kind of strategy, be it a supply chain efficiency strategy or a customer delight or anything, we have to look at a larger set of audience as to how it's going to sit with my clients, how it's going to sit with my employees, and also the larger stakeholders. How am I impacting the environment? How am I impacting the community at large? And I see myself adding value there. Having these two skill set under my belt, I'm looking at using all my experience to be able to come up with solutions and be part of program implementation programs which are more which could provide you more transparent and you know uh, transparent disclosure of various metrics which you want to set in, and also uh, put you on the path of continuous improvement. So that's where I see myself.
Okay, that was really insightful of you, Miss Malviya. Okay, so let's move ahead. And my next is on technology, since it has become an integral part of our lives. So viewers would like to know what has been the impact of technology in the implementation of projects for ESG development, and what changes do you expect to see with technological advances like IoT, AI, ML, blockchain, Web 3.0, big data, etc.
Yeah, actually, we are living this future, like I mean, I would not like most of this is happening as we speak. You have sensors to measure your carbon footprints, your pollution levels, your waste management, you know. You have AI bots, which are giving you a lot of, insights on how your customers are appreciating or valuing your products. So you have cloud technology, which has enabled remote work. We are talking from I don't know how many miles apart we are, and we are still being able to talk without any lag of any sort. Like people say, communication is not just language, but there is a lot of non-verbal thing happening, and I think this human-to-human connection which we were missing back in the audio days, I think we've gotten back, and that's why we could survive the entire COVID pandemic because we could still connect with our families sitting far away, and all this happened because of technology. and the blockchain coming in, you have now much more efficient supply chain because of that. The big data is playing uh, a very big role in the way we were churning data, deducing, finding insights, finding best solutions for our problems. There is generative AI, which has completely changed. Now we don't work on the first draft; it is generally auto-generated for us. Earlier it used to be you could talk any customer. Interface now, you are first connected to a bot, and then only when you pass the entire 6 7 states that you get to actually speak to a person. So it's already happening as we speak, and I see there is a lot of potential, but at the same time this has brought in a lot of challenges as well, as we all experience. Like there are data privacy issues. We are constantly wondering and are worried about the privacy and security of our us and also our family members. There is so much available in the open space that like it's really, it could drive paranoia in some, and then there is a lot of tech waste. I mean, initially we talked about India being able to leapfrog because of mobile, and but now I think India is also struggling because a lot of infrastructure has to be upgraded, and it would all come at a huge cost, and it would create a lot of tech waste. And what we are going to do about it? As we speak, there are solar panel issues which people are already discussing in in US and other countries where this was in adopted much years ahead from us. So I think, and then there are other social issues like inclusion issues. Where you have to like in the workforce now, you have to constantly upgrade yourself. But what about those people, like women, for instance, who have taken a pregnancy leave, or people who have taken leave because there is somebody sick at home, or who lost job because of COVID, or any such thing? So like it's the problems which we are facing are now changing, and there is a lot of even the ethical dilemma issues. We are driving driverless cars, and who is making decision on your behalf. It's a very complex and very confusing world at times. So I think, but having said that, I think when you look at technology and ESG, I think technology offers a lot of solutions which can be used in planning, in monitoring, as well as strategizing for your ESG projects. So like I think technology could be a huge enabler, and a lot of transparency and a lot of accountability has come in all these various standards and framework is because of employing digital transformation. And as we were talking earlier about the sensors, like a lot of things you can just install and forget about it, and you would know that it's happening across the organization now, and you are getting a real-time data on your dashboard, and be at peace that okay, yeah, this is going smooth, this is progressing as I wanted. So I would say that technology, if used as an enabler and if used right, can be of huge value. And even when you look at corporate governance and ESG per se, I think it has a huge differentiator advantage to offer if used rightly. And obviously, it's a very powerful tool set. But yeah, with power comes the responsibility. So yeah, that would be my take on it.
Absolutely, Ms. Malviya. Okay, so this brings us to the last question of the session. And here it is. We are building a community of industry magnates. The move is meant for a cross pollination of knowledge and building a knowledge sharing community of industry giants and corporate experts. What are your thoughts about these initiatives taken by Mr. Zishan Pathan, Mr. Heval Mehta, and the whole team of World Development Corporation?
Yeah, I mean, it's an excellent initiative. I mean, I think we are still at a networking stage where you are seeing a lot of influx. You have entrepreneurs on board, you have leaders, you have who's who of the industry, right? You have educators, you have people who have been lead auditors, and as I'm interacting more, I'm getting to know more about these profiles, and it is I'm very excited to meet, and it's the network itself which is very rich and very powerful. And I think as these brain sort of do the brainstorming, and they come up with the ideas, they come up, bring the solutions and the problems on the table, and people will discuss about it. They will put their expert opinion, and then you will have a lot of debates. So right now we have a lot of seminars happening. We have a lot of exchange about a lot of case studies, and we are kind of trying to pick each other's head on why this issue happened and what could have been done. But I think as we move ahead, I see a huge knowledge base building as these ideas are exchanged, these transferable skills are exchanged, and as this picks momentum, I think as we engage with other government and non-government agencies, bring more expertise on the table, I think it could easily grow into an advocacy and thought leadership program as well. So I see it way up there, and I think it's a great step. And my congratulations and my best wishes for all of you.
Great, great. It was fantastic conversing with you, and I'm confident that your insights will inspire the future leaders. Thank you once again for joining us today. Wish you the best for your future endeavors. Moreover, trust that this initiative by Directors Institute has unquestionably expanded the participants' understanding and enriched their minds.
Thank you so much, Sunny. It was wonderful meeting you. Thank you.
Pleasure. Have a nice day.
You too. Thank you.